The year is 1947, and following the end of the Second World War, relations between the Soviet Union and the United States have cooled dramatically, and tensions are running high as a group of Soviet citizens crossed the Bering Strait to Alaska and killed dozens of Americans. Though this may sound like the start of an alternate history scenario, it was in fact the reality of what came to be known as the Chukchi-Eskimo War of 1947. The Chukchi are the native inhabitants of the Russian far eastern region of Chukotka, then a part of the Soviet Union, which at its closest point lies just 80 kilometers, 50 miles, across the Bering Strait from Alaska, the home of the Eskimos. The Chukchi and Eskimos led very similar lives, both enduring the harsh conditions of the far north, surviving as reindeer herders, fishermen, and hunters of seals, walruses, and whales. The two peoples were in frequent contact due to their proximity, but conflicts over resources and feuds were frequent, and could last for years. This way of life continued practically unimpeded well into the 20th century, with Chukchi reindeer herders being some of the last kulaks, in this case meaning those that owned their own herds, to survive in the Soviet Union. The vast and unpopulated nature of the region meant that borders were more of a suggestion than a concrete fact. People would cross the borders all the time, especially the Alaskan Eskimos who would frequently visit relatives in the USSR. Changes to the region started to come in 1942, when the US began to arm groups of Eskimos in response to the threat posed by the Japanese invasion of the Aleutian Islands off the coast of mainland Alaska. This group, known as the Alaska Territorial Guard, eventually grew to more than 6,000 strong by 1947, and though disbanded early in the year, this was a clear sign of the growing military importance of the region. Indeed, at this time the US military was beginning to use Alaska for exercises training for combat in extreme winter conditions. On the Soviet side, after the Second World War had ended, both the 132nd Long-Range Aviation Regiment and the 126th Light Mountain Rifle Corps were deployed to the region to oppose the Americans. Little is known about the exact cause of the war. Some have speculated that it was ordered by the Soviets as a means of retaliation against a sharp increase in visitors to Chukotka, many of whom were supposedly young men rather interested in Soviet military facilities, and still others have speculated the raid was ordered to gauge the American military response to an incursion. However, because of their frequent contact, it was no secret that the Alaskan Eskimos had better living standards than the Chukchi, and this lends itself to the most likely explanation, which is simply that it was the final act in the long tradition of wars and raids in the region. Whatever the cause, it came to a head in the autumn of 1947, when a group of Chukchi several dozen strong crossed the Bering Strait in boats and landed near the Eskimo town of Wales, which they then proceeded to attack with both rifles and edged weapons, fighting against the similarly armed, but disorganized Eskimo inhabitants of the town. The battle ended quickly, with dozens dead at the hands of the Chukchi, and they proceeded to loot the town for valuable goods, such as guns, animal skins, and household items, before returning back across the Bering Strait. In the aftermath of the war, no official concern was voiced. However, the region would become much more closely policed. With visits now controlled, many of the Chukchi forcibly resettled into towns, and the militarization of both Chukotka and Alaska drastically increasing, no further conflicts would take place, although the Cold War in the region would only escalate. By the end of the Cold War, Chukotka and Alaska had at various points been home to strategic bomber bases, medium-range ballistic missiles, and radar installations, as well as all manner of other military bases and infrastructure. No matter the cause of the war, it is a practically unknown event, yet a fascinating instance of a collision between two worlds, of traditional tribal societies and the ideological superpowers of the Cold War. Thanks for watching the video, and if you've enjoyed it or found it informative, please consider liking, commenting, subscribing, or sharing it elsewhere for more like this in the future.